Hey, Margie here. We've all heard that food is medicine, but how do we nourish our bones with food? Well, I'm so excited because that's what we're going to delve into today with our very special guest, Andrea Beaman. And Andrea is an internationally renowned holistic health coach, natural foods chef, speaker, herbalist, and best-selling author. She's named one of the 100 most influential health and fitness experts. She's also a recipient of the Natural Gourmet Institute's Award for Excellence in Health Supportive Education and the Health Leadership Award from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Since 1999, Andrea has been teaching people how to harness the body's own preventative and healing powers using food, herbal remedies, and alternative medicine. And today we're going to focus on how we can use this when it comes to our bones. So I'm so excited. There's so much great information in this interview. So stay tuned. Hi, Andrea. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, hello, Margie. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy to have you here. I love what you do. I love the work you do. And this piece of the puzzle with nutrition and food is so important. And often people, they don't have the resources or they just don't really know. So I'm so glad that you're going to share such great information with everybody. So I can't wait. But before we get started, I just have to tell you something. So I just have to share a little story because I think this is so interesting. So I'm a physical therapist, and I've been a physical therapist since 1979. And then my middle son, when he was in college, got type 1 diabetes. And a health coach completely changed his life, completely. And so I realized, food was what's missing because I was working with osteoporosis. Food is the missing piece. And so I asked the woman, I said, where did you go to school? And she said, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And so I said, you know what? This is non-negotiable. I came home to it and I just signed up. Anyway, so there, you were one of the instructors. And I remember, and my background, my entire family are conventional doctors. I've always been into healthy eating, but still not really until I did that program, into really integrative medicine like I am now, and more functional medicine. And so anyway, so you're telling a story about your thyroid, that you had Hashimoto's and this and that you were able to completely correct it and get off medication with food. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because I have Hashimoto's. And I'm thinking, I can't even, but I believed you. And lo and behold, the exact same thing happened to me when I made the changes that I had learned. First my heart rate's going fast. They said, cut back your Synthroid, because I just assumed everybody that had Hashimoto's had to go on Synthroid. And then it happens again. And they're like, just get off your medicine. And that was since 2011. I've been off. But anyway, so I will never forget the story because I was thinking, wow, that's amazing that Andrea was able to get off her medicine. Anyway, so why don't you just tell us before we even get started about bones, how you got into the work you do?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. For me, I was 28 years old and I was diagnosed with thyroid disease. And at the time I had a very large goiter. It was like this big. And I had hyperthyroid initially and heart palpitations. I couldn't sleep at night. And, my immune system was crashing all over the place. And I was anxiety, it was crazy. And I went to the doctor and the doctor said, listen, you need to take radioactive iodine to destroy your thyroid. And then you'll be on this medication for the rest of your life. And red flags went up for me because years prior, I had watched my mom go through the treatments of breast cancer for the second time. She had breast cancer in the 80s, early 80s. And at that time, they were doing something called a radical mastectomy, right? They took off the breast, they took out all the lymph nodes, and she was left with this huge scar. And she did the radiation chemotherapy and all that stuff. And then after 5 years, they told her, you're good to go, you're cancer-free. And she continued her life doing what she was doing. But 11 years later, she fainted in the bathroom and we took her to the hospital and they said, listen, the breast cancer that your mother had 11 years ago is now back. And it's in her bones and it's in her liver and it's in her lungs and it's in her brain. It's everywhere. And And my dad was like, okay, let's try something else because this didn't work initially. So that's where we found food as medicine and something called macrobiotics, because macrobiotics was really big in the 1980s. And we put her on this diet, and she started to get, like, we had her doing radiation and everything, all conventional stuff. But we put her on this diet, and her color started to come back in her cheeks, and her lips came back, and she came a little more perky in her eyes. And my mom, unfortunately, didn't live, but it planted in me a seed that if something happens to me, I'm going to go food is medicine first so I can give my body a chance to heal. So when the doctor said to me, radioactive iodine, I said, I don't think so. I said, I'm going to try food first, and then I'll see what happens. So that's what I did. I radically transformed my diet because I was a chronic dieter, Margie. I mean, I was fat-free, low-fat, non-fat, Sarah-free cookies, Sara Lee cookies, non-fat frozen yogurt. That was my diet. It was crazy. And I changed it radically to like naturally raised foods, food that comes straight from the farm. It's not in a package, right? And in 4 months of changing my diet without dieting, right? I was eating more food than I had ever eaten in my life. I lost 20 pounds. My goiter started shrinking, and I go back to the doctor. And the doctor says, listen, your bloods have changed, right? You're out of the danger zone, but your thyroid is still not normal, and it'll never be normal. You need to take this medication. And I said, thanks, doc. I said, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because something's working here. I'm going to the bathroom on a daily basis. My hair's not falling out anymore. I said, I feel really good. I'm going to sleep at night. So I continued on the path of using food as medicine. And in those days, that was almost 30 years ago, I had health insurance back then, and I just kept changing doctors every 6 months. I would go to a new doctor to see what my next diagnosis was. So I went from hyperthyroid to hypothyroid to Hashimoto's, right? Because my thyroid was swinging all over the place. And each doctor gave me a different diagnosis, and each of them said, you need to take this medication. And I said, I'm feeling better than ever. I'm just going to keep doing this thing that I'm doing and see what happens. And in 18 months, my goiter completely disappeared. It never came back. And my thyroid is normal and happy and healthy. And I'm 56 years old now. I don't worry about my weight. I don't worry about my immune system. I sleep well at night. I had a really good menopause. Things definitely changed. So I'm a firm believer of using food and herbs as medicine. From my own experience and from working with clients for the past 30 years. I think that modern medicine is great at a lot of stuff. Like if you fall down the stairs or you have an accident, they can put you back together. But when it comes to healing the body, strengthening the body, having a strong immune system, having strong bones, you got to go food. You got to go food. You got to go herbs. You got to go what you're putting into your body to help you develop the blood that you need to feed all your organs. So I'm a big believer in using food and herbs as medicine and living proof.
Yeah, no, I love this story. And I agree also. I always tell people that you have to dig deep. Don't take what people say because, that's such a sad story with your mom and you're living proof. But I couldn't believe that because, you inspired me. And then I was thinking, wow, this real, and so many people are like, you're off your Synthroid. I'm like, no, I'm off Synthroid, I really didn't, it was amazing. And I lost 14 pounds. I was never heavy, but not doing anything, just changing up what I was eating and just really having a more very similar to what you had said. It made all the difference. Wow, love that. Let's talk about, you mentioned that you were a chronic dieter, and there are a lot of people, a lot of women, their whole life, we don't want to be heavy, and especially growing up, I'm 65, so growing up, what I did, it was such a big deal, and people were constantly dieting. But what does that do to our bones? Like, what's the problem with that?
It breaks you down, like literally. So like from the time that I was 13 or 14 years old and looking at the magazine covers of the really skinny people, right? And you should be on this diet, you should be on that diet. All of those dieting foods and dieting behaviors set us up for a breakdown of the system internally, right? Because we're depriving our body of actual nutrition that we need in order to achieve this goal of an airbrushed model, which is not real, right? So back in my previous life, I used to work for MTV Networks, and we had something called the VH1, where we had the models. It was and I got to see the models up close, and like they were smoking and drink coffee all day long and cocaine, and right, they were doing all this stuff so that they would not gain weight, so that they would be these skinny little things, but they were not healthy and they were not happy, right? They were not happy. So when we go on this chronic dieting phase, we're not getting the deep nutrition that we need. We lose our vitamin D levels will tank, and you need vitamin D for strong, healthy bones, right? When we don't eat fat, good quality fat, we can't absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. And what I remember being taught in the 80s and the 90s, don't eat fat. Fat is the worst thing for you. And it sets you up for failure. And then you get stuck in that system, which is a revolving door of sickness. One thing leads to another thing, leads to another thing, and now your bones are breaking down. Like if you dig up the bones of our ancestors, you don't see osteoporosis, right? Osteoporosis is a modern phenomenon. So what is happening to us that our bones are literally disintegrating internally, right? They're fracturing, they're falling apart, they're breaking down, they're not able to hold our structure for the time that we're here. So it's a delusion. It's a delusion. Dieting is a delusion. Like that chronic dieting will kill you. And if it doesn't break your bones, it's going to break your spirit, because you'd be like, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I can't eat this. And then you're stuck eating like 2 leaves on a plate, right? And you're starving to death.
All right, so that's the bad news. So let's talk about the good news then, because I have your books. You have like great books and great recipes. So tell us, what are your favorite foods that actually support bone development and bone health?
Okay, so the good news is you can eat a lot of food that supports bone health. So first of all, I'm going to say ixnay on the calcium supplements, right? Because bones are alive, right? They're living tissue and you can build them. So like instead of taking like a calcium supplement, which often will cause calcifications inside, like they've done research studies on women specifically taking high doses of calcium, they have higher rates of breast cancer because they get calcification in the soft tissue in the breast. They're getting higher rates of breast cancer. We also get calcification in the arteries. So if you want calcium, look at this. So I have here, I'm steeping a tea that has nettles. It has oat straw. It has goji berries and mulberries dried, right, to give it a little bit of sweetness to support our fluids in the body. It's got mullein. Mullein is a leaf that supports the lungs and the skin. So this is just one example of a tea that is calcium rich, but not just calcium. It's got a lot of other stuff in there. All of our dark leafy greens have calcium, but they also have fiber to help deliver that calcium. And then if you take your dark leafy greens and you saute them in a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of grass-fed butter or something like that, then you're getting the fat to help you absorb a lot of the deep nutrition, right? So A, D, E, and K, fat soluble. If you're eating a head of lettuce with nothing on it, right? How are you getting the K? How are these vitamins getting into your system? So we have to be really conscious that there's a lot of food that you can eat. There's a whole realm. Like if you go into the grocery store, which I don't really recommend, I recommend you go to your farmer's market for your foods. But if you go into the grocery store, stay on the aisles that have real food that you can see that it's food and it's not food that has been 10 times removed from its original structure, right? So everything that is packaged is usually removed from something, right? So even those like powdery supplement powders, they're like, oh, this has everything that you need. But where's the fiber in that, and where's the enjoyment? right? Where's the enjoyment in having your vitamins in a drink as opposed to sitting down with your family and enjoying a delicious, nourishing meal that nourishes your whole body and all of your systems? So I'm also a big fan of animal products, like naturally raised animal products. And I remember when I was macrobiotic, that's definitely a cleanse where, I could recommend that for people that want to cleanse. But when you're talking about bones, you're not talking about cleansing. You want to build that system up. You need animal proteins, animal fats. These will keep you satisfied on a deep level. So I'll give you an example. This morning I had scrambled eggs on top of whole grain toast that had grass-fed butter on it. I had a little bit of kimchi on the side, and so something like that. I'm having the eggs. The eggs have A, D, E, and K, right? I got my kimchi, so I'm getting my probiotics to help me absorb and digest. I have the whole grain sourdough bread that has fiber and it has B vitamins, right? So everything is delicious and nourishing. And I don't feel not satisfied. I remember when I was a chronic dieter, I would snack all day long because I wasn't satisfied. But this morning, my eggs had fat, and then I had a little bit of butter that had fat. So my body gets satisfied on a deep level, and it can absorb that nutrition better.
I love it. It's very funny because my lunch today was scrambled eggs with ghee, and then I had kimchi.
Great minds think alike, sister.
Yeah, I love that. I'm big into every day having a little bit of that probiotic from the refrigerator because it makes such a big difference. And
such a big difference, because if your gut is not healthy and supported, then you could be eating the best food in the world, but you're not absorbing, or you'll have less absorption or malabsorption, which is, the case with a lot of people that suffer from leaky gut. So, we have to understand the body from the way that it's designed. It's actually designed to eat food. Look, we have teeth, right? These teeth are designed to eat food. So when you eat food that your body is designed to absorb and digest, then you'll have a strong bone structure. You'll have a happier and healthier system all the way around. If you look into the wild, where are the animals suffering with osteoporosis? Right? Maybe our cats and dogs that live with us because we're not feeding them properly either.
I really haven't heard of any animals suffering with osteoporosis. Have you?
No. I see a lot of dogs and cats that are in people's homes suffering from cancer, right? Because they're feeding them food that the animal's not designed to eat. We're just giving them crap too, because that's what we've been designed. We've been programmed to eat crap, and then we feed our animals crap. So no wonder why there's so much disease happening, right? I believe that we are designed to be perfectly healthy and happy while we're here, and our bones can heal, right? So I've had clients that were osteopenia and osteoporosis that came back from those diagnoses, right? Because the bones are alive.
There's so much that can be done, and
yes.
I always tell people a diagnosis of osteoporosis is an opportunity because you're like, something's going on and the bones aren't in isolation. So when you address this, not only do your bones get better, but everything, your digestive system, your sleep, your happiness. So it's such a win-win. So
I agree.
So interesting what you said about the calcium, because so often I would see the doctors prescribing like 1,200. The person's already getting calcium in their diet. And, it was just too
much.
And, it's, people didn't realize that. Look, it's not. You can't have that much diet plus supplements. Okay, so now,
and if they want to take the supplements, take it in the short term.
Yes,
right. Take it in the short term to build up, but it's not the answer. The answer is to get what you need from your food and then use a supplement exactly as that to supplement what you're doing.
And even it's interesting, even the Bone Health and Osteoporosis Foundation, even conventional medicine is like food first when it comes to calcium. Get what you can in your food, and only if you're not getting enough at that point do you then supplement, and in small doses, not in big doses, because it really is dangerous. So let's talk about herbs, because you use that's what I love, because you have a background of you're a culinary person and you're a chef, and so you're able to combine all these things and really add some good herbs. So why don't you share what herbs people can have, and maybe how you add them, because it's, a lot of us just don't, it's not that we don't want to, we just don't know how. It all sounds good. Oh, but I'm so busy. Like, how do I do this? So why don't you shed some light on this for us?
Oh, well, for a long time, for probably 15 years, I was under the belief that I could only use food, right? My food that came from the grocery store or whatever, from the farmer. And then in 2012, I got Lyme disease, and I'm still eating the best food in the world. And I was like, oh God, my body's breaking down. Why is my body breaking down? I went back to conventional medicine. They were like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, what do you mean there's nothing wrong with me? I get every single bone in my body hurts right now. How could there be nothing wrong with me? And so that's when I discovered herbalism. And I went and I studied to become a master herbalist, because I knew that this was a missing piece, food and herbs together. We're surrounded by all of these plants all over the entire world that are here for us to enjoy and to support our body. So when I healed my Lyme disease, that was another thing that I was putting into my protocols. I was like, we got to use herbs. So you have culinary herbs inside your cabinet, right? Rosemary, thyme, black pepper, basil. We have ginger, garlic. Like, we have tons of culinary herbs, which are wonderful. Cumin. And these herbs can stimulate the digestive fire so you can absorb more deeply. And then you have wild herbs. Like I said, I have in my tea, I have some nettle. Nettle is in here, some dried goji berries, some dried mulberries. I have mullein, which is an herb that you may not know the name of it, but I'm sure that if you ever been out in the world on a hike or in a walk in a park, you've seen it. It's a large leafy plant with furry leaves, and it's called mullein, and it supports the bones and the lungs and the skin. And I put it into my tea. So this is just an example of a nourishing tea. Plus there's licorice root in here to soothe the gut and help the gut feel good. So I use teas probably daily. Some type of daily tea. The other day I had rose, hibiscus, and a little bit of licorice root and some honey, right? So that was just for a blood support, right? And to heart support, right? Because we all see roses. You see roses, you have them in your backyard. But rose is a classic and a traditional medicine, right? The rose petal, the whole rose is a medicine. It's naturally astringent. It's toning to the cardiovascular system. So we're surrounded by all of these plants that we think of as ornamentals, right? Or we have like a little herb garden in the backyard, but they're actually medicinal, and they've been used for thousands of years. So I like to put herbs in teas. I put herbs in food. Like, I'll make a nettles pesto, which is a powerhouse of minerals and calcium and all the things that you need. And it's totally delicious. Like, you just take a regular pesto and you add some nettle in there. And, like, it just takes some time to relearn this stuff, because our ancestors knew it, but the past 200 years, we've been dumbed down. And now herbalism is making a resurgence because it's needed in the world, and people are looking at modern medicine and going, wait a minute, I'm on this medication and this medication and that medication and that medication. I'm still not feeling good, and I'm going back to the doctor, and I'm still not vibrant and alive and feeling good in my body. There's got to be something else. So herbalism has made a huge resurgence in probably the past 50 years. And I'm really grateful that those teachers that are teaching herbalism, including myself, I'm a teacher as well, are bringing that information back to the masses, because it was squashed and destroyed by the rise of the pharmaceutical industry, right? Pharmaceutical industry came to power and said, we are going to squash anything that is not a pharmaceutical medication. And the irony of it is, the vast majority of pharmaceutical medications, when they were first brought into the world, were constituents that came from plants, right? Even your basic aspirin, right? The willow bark, the bark of the willow. So, like even a violet leaf has salicylic acid, right? So all of the plants were extracted down to their minutia and put into pharmaceutical medications. And then herbalism was called witchcraft, right? Burn the witches. They're using these crazy things, right? But I'm glad that the witches are making a comeback and bringing back some herbal medicine because we need it. We need it. I mean, take a look around at these mega corporations that are like in control of everything. And they now like even in Canada, if you even talk about herbal medicine, you get shut down, right? Around the world, they are just shutting down. You can't, I remember, oh my gosh, I have someone that I buy elderberries from, and her website got shut down for saying that elderberries support immunity. Shut down. Goodbye, website. Now, elderberries have been used for thousands of years to support immunity, right? You use it. This is the perfect time of year for elderberries, right? So, we have to look at what's happening in the world and say, maybe we need to take a step back here. Maybe we haven't been told the truth about everything. Maybe there's another option for me besides getting on 27 different medications by the time I'm 70 years old.
Hey, Margie here. As a physical therapist, I know firsthand how important exercise is for our bones, overall health, and happiness. And unfortunately, there's a lot of confusion on what exercises are safe and effective for people with osteoporosis. That's why I created this handout that contains a 30-minute video where I explain the concepts so you understand the do's and don'ts when it comes to exercise. And this is important because this way you can go into any class and know what you should be doing and what you should avoid. Because too many people are doing exercises that actually increase their risk of spinal fractures. I also included videos of me demonstrating effective balance, posture, and weight-bearing exercises you can put into your day right away. So all you need to do to access this handout, it's free, is go to tinyurl.com/osteoporosis exercises. So it's tinyurl.com, again, /osteoporosis exercises, or you can click the link in the show notes. Now back to the show. I want to dig deep a little more into this drink here. Oh. So in terms of these, do you make an infusion? Do you boil it? How long do you steep it? Just give us a little more.
Oh, yeah. So this is a French press. So this is a tea that I make. It's a 32-ounce French press. And I put my dried herbs in here. And then I pour boiling water on top. And then I'll steep this for a couple of hours. And you could also steep it overnight. Like when you're using nettle leaf, if you steep it overnight, you're drawing out all the minerals. This is going to turn dark green, right? And that is just a hit of minerals. So I know so many people are using electrolytes, right? You got these little packets of stuff that you pour into your water. This is water infused with electrolytes and minerals, right? This is natural electrolytes and minerals. So this is like a tea that I'm steeping. There are other herbs that I take in tincture form. That means that the herb has been infused in high-grade vodka, and they're infused for usually 6 to 8 weeks. And then the constituents of the herb is infused into that liquid, and then you just drink the liquid, like not a lot, just like little drops. So like this time of year, we're in the fall season, everybody's worried about viruses. I'm not worried about viruses, but everybody else is worried about viruses. So there's a combination of reishi plus astragalus root, which builds white blood cells and helps your immune system. So I would suggest that if anybody is worried about whatever virus is circulating, the Mpox, the Triple E, the Corona, it doesn't matter, flus, colds, if you're worried about that stuff, start taking your herbs now to bolster your immunity so that you're prepared, because the body is brilliantly designed to live here on this planet, right? And with everything that's here, right? So when you give your body what it needs, and then the virus or the antigen or whatever comes in contact with your mucous membranes, right, in your eyes or in your nose or in your mouth or on your skin, then your body goes, hey, let's go. White blood cells. Let's get moving. We got to get this. This thing is not me, right? Encased here is me, and on the outside is not me. And this thing is trying to get in here. That is not me. So, and the body immune system is saying, this thing is not going to be good for the me, right? So there's intelligence in the plants, and there's intelligence infused into us when we use them, right? So it's molecular intelligence. We have a synergistic relationship with all of the plants that surround us. I could walk outside and I could see reishi mushroom growing at the top of trees, right? Right? It grows up there and it sits on the side like a little shelf, right? It's there, but we don't know how to use it. Like I said, we've been taught that that's not where your medicine is. You know, in the springtime, and this is a fun story, in the springtime, I can guarantee anybody that has a front lawn will have dandelion popping up on their front lawn or red clover. Now, dandelion supports the health of the liver. Dandelion root clears the hepatic portal, right? It clears congestion from the liver. Pops up in the spring, we should be eating that dandelion. But what do? Squirt it. We squirt it with weed killer. Get this weed out of here. But that weed is very nourishing to the body. It's a detoxifying herb. I once heard a doctor talking about dandelion root tea. He was a cancer doctor. He's been removed from the web since he was talking about it. But he said people should be drinking dandelion root tea if they have cancer every single day. And there's wisdom in that. And that dandelion root pops up on people's front lawns, and people go, it's gross. Look at that. It's ruining my front lawn. But it would be saving their health if they actually ate it. The leaves, the roots, the whole thing. Red clover that pops up on people's lawns. That's it looks like a little purple, tiny little flower. Pops up on people's lawns. It's great for the bones. Great for the bones. Oh, it's phytoestrogenic. It nourishes us. It moisturizes us. It's really wonderful. And what do? Again, squirt it with the weed killer. Get it out of the front lawn. The medicine is here, Margie. It's here. But we don't know how to use it, right? We've been taught otherwise.
Well, that's what's so good about what you do, Andrea. I mean, I think that's why it's so important that, you're here and you're doing all this great stuff with the herb. So I just wanted to talk about, because I know this is a big part of your program. You always believe we have to look at the kidneys, because that, kidney health, I know in Chinese medicine, the kidneys are really a big component of the bone health. But what's your thought? What's your feeling? I know you feel the kidneys are so important.
So important. So in ancient medicine, the kidneys are where your life force is stored, right? Your jing, your energy, your qi, right? Your qi that was inherited from your family, right? It's stored in the kidneys according to ancient medicine. Now, the kidneys are also responsible for the formation of your red blood cells, and they're responsible for your bones. So if the kidneys are getting weak, you'll find that the bones start to break down and the health starts to break down, and you can't hear as well and you can't see as well, right? Because all of this is related to the health of the kidney. So one thing, as we age, that life force gets less and less and less and less and less and less until we're done with the life force and we're like, okay, we're out of here. So what you'll notice is, as we age, we get drier. It's a suck because the kidney is the water element in Chinese medicine. As we age, we get drier, right? You hear crackling in the bones, skin gets dry, sometimes eyes get dry. We can't absorb as well. The water element is compromised. So we have to support the kidney element with what's called acquired jing or acquired qi. And that comes from your food and your lifestyle, right? You have your inherited qi, which you got from your mom and your dad and your grandmother and your grandfather. And then we have our acquired qi. And that's what we get through food and lifestyle. So our Bone stocks support the kidney element. Proteins, good quality proteins support the kidney element. There are ginseng, which has been used for thousands of years, supports the kidney element. Beans, believe it or not, support that kidney element. And specifically, foods that have been infused in water, because kidneys are water element in Chinese medicine. So this is infused in water. And I have dried goji berries and dried mulberries in here, and they support what's called the kidney yin, right? And then soups and stocks, those are made in water, right? So anytime that your kidneys are feeling deficient, you make a broth, a soup, a stock, and that is absorbed very well by the body. It's easy to digest and it's easy to absorb. So an example is you get a cold and you're run down, right? You're on the down low. What's one of the traditional and classic remedies?
Chicken soup.
Yes. It's not a ham sandwich. Right? So you put your chicken and your herbs, you put garlic, you put rosemary, you put onions, you put carrots, you put celery, you put all this stuff into this liquid medium and you drink it. And it's very easy to digest and your cold resolves in 2 to 3 days, right?
Absolutely.
Now, yeah. But today, people will have a cold for 2 to 3 weeks. And they're like, why isn't my cold resolving? And they're taking all this Robitussin and they're taking all this other stuff. And I still can't breathe. And I can't get out of bed. They're exhausted from a cold. So I would suggest a good old-fashioned chicken soup made with love, right? Homemade. I'm not talking about Campbell's chicken soup. Right? I'm talking about homemade chicken soup made with love, great quality ingredients. That is going to help your kidney element. It's going to bring back your energy and your vitality. So, simple things, soups, stews, stocks, teas, all support the body and support that kidney element when it needs that boost.
Oh, I love that. And I know I teach a happiness class, and I just so believe that we can't ignore the psychological impact and support and who's around us. And what's your feeling on that?
100%. So let's look at the bones in the psychological impact, right? The bones are your structure that are carrying you through this world. And if you do not feel supported, what happens to your support system, your structure? It starts to break down. So how we feel about something. Am I being supported? Am I supporting my own health and wellness? Am I being supported by the people around me? Right? Am I in an environment that is not supporting me? We're going to start to break down. We'll get no desire to be in this world, right? So in ancient Greek medicine, the heart is the motivator for the human spirit. The heart, not any other part of the body, the heart. So is the heart being nourished? Are you in a good, healthy, happy relationship with the people around you, but more importantly, with yourself, right? We have to first start here. Wake up in the morning and do the things that are going to take care of you. Why? Because there has to be a deep love for yourself. I love Margie. I love Andrea. I'm going to take care of her the best that I can today, to the best of my ability, because I love this person first. And then, boom, you could take care of everybody else in the world. But our tendency is to take care of everybody else and neglect our own needs, which is not smart, right? Even when you're in the airplane and they tell you to put your mask on, they never tell you to put the person next to you, put their mask on, and then, no, it's always put your mask on first and get your own oxygen, and then you can do whatever you need to do. So you taking care of yourself is a form of self-love. And it starts there.
The interesting thing is that people in this community who care about their bones, unfortunately, they underplayed this aspect because nobody really talks about it, and they don't realize this is as important as what you're eating, your exercise. This piece is critical.
Yep.
And so I'm glad that, you feel the same way, because even if you're doing all these amazing things, but yet that support is not there and that self-love is not there, it's going to have, unfortunately, negative consequences.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so much information coming out now in our modern world about how our thoughts impact the health of our body as a whole, right? So I could be drinking this nutritious tea, but if I'm thinking, man, this is never going to work and my life sucks and oh God, I hate my job and I hate my relationship, right? If that is going on, then it doesn't matter how healthy your tea is. It doesn't really matter.
So true. So I am really excited because you got me all excited here with all the recipes. And to tell us about, you have an actual program called Health is Medicine. No, let's see what it's called. Food. Well, tell me what the name of it is. It's called Food is Medicine, something to that effect, right?
Yeah, it's my Food is Medicine program.
Yeah.
And it's 4 modules where I teach you how to cook, how to get into the kitchen and cook very easy recipes. I also have some herbal recipes in there as well, but they're recipes to support the heart, to support immunity, how to make medicine in your kitchen. It's really overall wellness. It's a lot of fun because I think that you should have fun when you're in the kitchen. So like if you get a recipe that has 800 different steps, you're not going to do it. It's got to be easy and it's got to be delicious. Otherwise, you're going to be like, nope. So the Food is Medicine program is designed for you to get the information and utilize it. Because you could just show up to any program anywhere and then never use the information. But this makes it easy for you to use the information. We give you recipes, we give you the information, and you get entertained along the way because I believe that you got to have fun.
Oh, me too. I am such a believer in life has to be fun.
Yes.
Right. Because what's the big deal if you're just, oh, I have to do this for my bones or it ruins everything.
Yep.
Oh, yes. I couldn't agree more. And you're offering 20% off for our community.
Yes. We'll offer 20% off for anybody who is ready to take themselves to their heart and say, okay, I can do this. I can take care of me. Right. So we'll go Happy Bones 20 and I'll give you that and you give it to your people and they'll get 20% off the program, the Food is Medicine program. And if they want to do a deeper dive, they can always join my community where they get different classes every single month dripped out, classes on the immune system, on the liver, on the kidneys, on the heart, on the lungs. It's a much bigger and longer program, but it's a lot of fun as well.
And what about all the cooking? Is that in part of the monthly
classes? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Every single month they get a new cooking class. Hey, try this one, try that one. We have a bone cooking class, bone health cooking class. We have a brain health cooking class. We have a cooking for longevity. Everything that you could think of that you could want to be happy and healthy, we have it in the community.
Oh, I love it. I've always loved your recipes. You've taught me lots of things.
Oh, thanks.
All right. So we'll have all of that in the show notes. So this has been so much fun, Andrea. I just love being with you. I'm a big energy person and you have such good positive energy that it really comes. I never used to think that, because I used to just work with people in person, but I never used to think it could be transfused through the internet, but it is. That's what's so fun about it. So I'm feeling all these good vibes. You really elevated me. Is there any last minute things that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah. So like I said, always get it into that space of loving yourself first and foremost, right? When you love yourself, you can take care of yourself to the best of your ability. So I remember reading a book, oh my gosh, 25 or 30 years ago by Louise Hay called You Can Heal Your Life.
I love it.
It was such a good book. And she had this one exercise where you would go to the mirror and you would say, I love you. And for the first 3 months, I would go to the mirror and I'd say, I love you. And I'd be like, that's ridiculous. Why? That's so stupid, right? This is my back talk inside my mind. It's so stupid. And then one day I was like, oh my God. I totally love me. Right? But it took time to clear out the old nonsense and allow the new nonsense, not new nonsense, the new information, the new program to be implemented into my system. So I want to encourage anyone to be patient. Be very patient with yourself and with your healing process, and do something consistently over time to build new habits, right? It's not just the one bowl of chicken soup that's going to help, right? Or the one time you go to the mirror and say, I love you. It's consistency. You show up every day and you actually integrate new, good, wonderful habits into your life. And that will make all the difference in the world, right? Get to love yourself on a deep level and be patient and loving with your process.
I love that. And it's so powerful. Well, thank you. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And
Thanks
I
for
look
having
forward
me.
to staying in touch. Thank you.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Andrea as much as I did. And now I have some new ideas of how you can add food as medicine into your life. I am so excited that Andrea is offering our community a 20% discount on her Food is Medicine program, as well as her Health is Wealth community. So you would just need to use Happy Bones 20. And this way you can, if you're interested, you can learn more, the recipes, the herbs, how to put into action some of the concepts that she talked about today. So all of that information will be in the show notes. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.